Hello people of the internet, this is KaijuNoir. Here once again on my channel is Superdm64.
Good to be here as always. Not reviewing TV this time.
Yeah, instead we're going to review what is perhaps one of the greatest parodies, one of the greatest action movies, one of the greatest projects to ever come out of Kickstarter. It is the 31-minute short film that premiered recently on the El Rey Network a couple days ago, and that is Kung Fury, the story of a martial artist Miami police detective who's ready to travel back in time to fight Hitler, because killing Hitler is awesome, and fucking Vikings and dinosaurs and fucking Triceratops and barbarians and robots and all sorts of awesome madness.
I don't know that I could sum it up any better than that. That's the movie.
Yeah, it's just random, the randomest, most craziest, out there insanity that's all wrapped up in a perfectly neon pink bow.
And there's David Hasselhoff. Nah.
Yes, even David Hasselhoff. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, in I want to say December 2013, there was a Kickstarter project produced by director, writer, and actor David Sandberg, who wanted to put together a short film called Kung Fury, which was a big love letter to 80s action movies. And he initially spent $5,000 to put together this really amazing trailer that kind of caught the internet by storm. And it was that popularity that led to the project to gather together $630,019, which exceeded their original target goal of $200,000. And while it did not reach its $1 million stretch goal of actually making it into a feature film, they did, of course, have the funds to put together this half-hour short film, which was able to be shown at a Cannes Film Festival, as well as the El Rey Network here in America, and on YouTube, where it already gathered like 3 million views on its first day alone.
Yeah, upon learning that it was on YouTube, and this was later that night after having watched it on the El Rey Network, I immediately watched it again.
So how many times have you watched it, my friend?
Only the twice. I've had some other shit going on, but I watched it twice and fucking loved every second of it. This movie is so much fucking fun.
And this is one of those movies where it's like, kind of similar to Mad Max, where it's very ridiculous, but it's purposely over the top. It's tongue-in-cheek. Well, not so much tongue-in-cheek. The tongue is way beyond the cheek and probably already in the esophagus on its way towards the stomach.
Indeed.
Where, it's purposely crazy and ridiculous. It just throws everything with the kitchen sink at the wall, hoping that everything would stick, and luckily, for us, it does. And just before we go into this story,
once you have Triceracop in your movie, you've pretty much forfeited any pretense of being taken seriously.
And it's very similar.
That's what I
go
love
ahead.
about it immediately. The very first scene in this movie,
which was also the first part of the trailer to just show you what you're about to get into.
The first scene in this movie, from that point on, you're in for some shit.
Right. Just like, I want to compare this to movies like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and Sin City, where it takes place in a extremely exaggerated world where almost anything can happen, and people are just used to these sorts of things happening. Where it's like an arcade cabinet just came to life and it started killing people. Better call in Kung Fury.
Yeah, it's very hyper stylized in that way, and the entire thing is done with this sort of like 80s soft lighting effect, kind of like this like Miami Vice, like I don't know how to. It's just 80s. I don't know how else to describe it.
It's like it has this very like old VHS aesthetic where the picture is very faded, which I think really helps, and especially in terms of the low budget green screen effects.
Mm-hmm.
And the picture and sound would often become distorted, and you would see like scratch lines in several cases. and are used to really good effect at hiding or covering up their they use the scratches and the skipping to their advantage in terms of like saving their budget.
Yeah, they kind of pulled a Gareth Edwards at the beginning of this movie, but they did it like in a smart way. Kung Fury and the living arcade cabinet like lunge at each other. They're gonna have this big fight, and then all of a sudden the VHS starts skipping, and you see like bits and pieces of the fight. Like they'll be like up on top of a building, and then it'll skip again, and they'll be down on the street fighting, and it just like I don't know.
And then they're fighting in space.
Yeah, they went into fucking space.
And another very clever use was did you notice the one of the two Viking ladies whose name was Katana, which I think may have been a reference to Highlander 2, where there was an alien by the name of Katana, which was just as ridiculous there as it is here for a Viking to be called Katana.
Yeah, that could very well be a reference to that. I didn't think of that, but that could be.
Did you notice that the actress who played Katana in this movie, she's the blonde one with the Uzi gun.
Right.
She's played by a different actress than the one in the Kickstarter trailer.
No, I didn't notice that at all.
Yeah, and in that one shot where she stands up and calls out to Thor, the God of Thunder, yeah, that happens. That shot was used in the Kickstarter trailer, but when you see it in the final film, they actually used that video distortion and warped scratched lines to cover up the fact that was a different actress in that shot from the original trailer.
Oh, that's very clever.
Yeah.
That's super clever. This film knows how to stretch their dollar. I'll tell you that much. They really knew how to. I mean, fucking Thor's and everything is in this movie, and I'm like, how did anybody afford to do this off of like an internet Kickstarter campaign? Like, they managed to take the insane amount of money that they got out of that and make it seem like an even insaner amount of money. Which insaner?
Gareth Edwards could possibly learn a lesson or two from this guy.
Which insaner is not a word, but you know what I mean.
I think in terms of Kung Fury logic, I believe it is.
I believe it is too. I gotta say, if I had one complaint in terms of the Viking thing, you didn't really need two of them. Like he meets
Barbariana,
that's her name. She comes riding in on a wolf and a Gatling gun that shouldn't have been invented yet. And she comes riding in.
This is the Kung Fury universe where apparently laser raptors are a common thing in the Viking Age.
Dinosaurs in general still exist, and guns are around, apparently. And the Viking Age is just like a thing. It's not like, in real life.
It's a specific year.
Yeah, in real life it's more complicated than that. But anyway, it's like the Viking Age, like when you're a kid and you're like, when you think of history in like those terms. But anyway, you didn't really need two of the Viking women. Like he could have very easily like hopped on that wolf with Barbariana, rid off to that lake, and then have her be the one that like summons Thor. Like I didn't know why they had two of them. I don't know if that's really a complaint. I don't know if you can really levy a complaint against Kung Fury. It's just a strange thing that it's a decision that I question. I'll put it that way.
Right. Although who knows? Maybe with action movies, you can never have enough TNA.
It's true.
I mean, let's be honest.
It's true. That might have been the thought process, actually. Probably.
Yeah, from a heterosexual male's point of view.
That was probably his thought process. I'm not gonna lie. I also love how he does this fucking like Christian Bale Batman voice throughout the entire fucking movie.
Oh,
he's like,
yeah,
I'm Kung Fury, and like when he meets fucking Thor's like, I am Thor, the god charged with protecting the human race. Check out my pecs, and he's like, those pecs are epic.
Thanks, bro. It just goes against all expectations, like even beyond the normal conventions of 80s action movies. Like you have a T-Rex there who participates in the final battle against Hitler and his army of Nazis. And then out of the blue, he starts talking, like fucking Grimlock here.
Yes, Hitler, the Kung Fuhrer, and his golden robotic eagle, which was fucking awesome.
I think, like, if anyone were to ever question anything that happens in this movie, the simplest answer is because fuck you, that's why.
Some of the dialogue in this movie, it's so delightfully cheesy again, straight out of the 80s. Fucking Triceracop. I came back in time to save you, Kung Fury, because I love you.
You're the best damn partner ever, Triceracop. Or like, I love how like they use those cliche like one-liners and those like character moments like you're a cop who goes by his own rules, and I do not approve of your methods.
Yeah. I gotta say though, my favorite one-liner isn't even from the movie. It's from the fucking David Hasselhoff music video. When he jumps out of the car and shoots those guys, and the car explodes, and he lands and does that split on the ground just like Kung Fury did in the movie. And he's like, he says, permit denied. Without those, I'm in Jeff Goldblum mode at the moment.
I think my favorite line would probably be when Kung Fury realizes that he was in the Viking Age, and he's like, fuck. No, he's like, I'm in the goddamn Viking Age. That explains those laser raptors. Fuck.
Yeah.
Again, it's a line so ridiculous that only in that movie could it make any sort of sense whatsoever.
Oh, and then when the fucking hacker guy, who it turns out can transform into a fucking robot, when the hacker guy sends him back in time, right before he does, his computer does that annoying ass thing where it goes, "You're about to hack time. Are you sure?"
Or like when he's doing all his like random typing, you see just right there for no reason a random E equals MC squared, which turns into an E equals MC cubed. I'm like, oh shit!
And then
Einstein wasn't prepared for this.
Einstein didn't think of this shit. I gotta say, if he does get to make it into a feature-length movie, I wish that he would have like a big enough budget to
shoot on location.
Yeah, and also be able to do it a little. Well, he did shoot some of it on location.
Right, but because the movie was shot in Sweden,
the majority
they had to rely on.
The majority of the movie is done on green screen. He only had one police outfit, so in that scene where they're in the police headquarters, like, he had to have a bunch of different people wear the outfit at different times and then use green screen technology to make it all look like they're in the same room at the same time.
Right. Again, this guy really knew how to work to his budget, as opposed to trying to stretch it as, beyond its capability.
Indeed. The only thing, what I would suggest, if he could get a big enough budget to do it, that would be the problem. He probably wouldn't in a million years, but it would be nice if we could get some more, like, old school, like, 80s style practical effects in there. Like, imagine how sweet it would be if that fucking living arcade machine was like some fucking Ed 209 shit.
Like stop motion effects?
Or something.
Like Go motion?
Yeah, like some of the kung fu moves it was doing, you wouldn't be able to pull it off that way. But I'm just saying, like... It's so great at recreating the feel of the 80s, but it doesn't always manage, because of the budget, to really get the look 100% right, you know what I mean?
I see, yeah. I think they do make it, luckily they're able to make it up just by taking advantage of that old used like VHS type of grainy, faded video and audio quality, but at the same time also relying heavily...
That was a good way of masking a lot of the problems.
And also relying on a very bright and vibrant use of neon colors, like your greens and pinks and maybe some purples here and there.
Say what it kind of reminded me of. It kind of reminded me of being a child in the latter half of the 90s, a wee child, or latter half of the 90s and early 2000s, when DVD was still like a new thing, and we still had some like old VHS tapes lying around from the fucking like 80s and early 90s. It's a lot like watching one of those. That's how well that they nailed that effect. Just the fadedness and the graininess and all that. I almost felt like I was watching my my old VHS tape of fucking the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie or something, you know. Which now I have it on Blu-ray and it's in crystal clear quality, but
but it's still a bit of a sense of nostalgia as you were watching this, and I guess becoming you start to reminisce about those olden times of watching the older video format.
Yeah, and I think that was definitely a big reason that they did it, aside from being able to hide some of their fuck-ups.
Yeah, and let's see. I wanted to discuss some of the or just wanted to bring up some of the 80s references that I caught as we watched the film. I mean, we've mentioned before of David Hasselhoff, where he had a cameo in the movie as the Hoff 9000, an obvious homage to Knight Rider, a show that he himself starred in, and was the show that kind of pretty much made his career.
While also managing to be a 2001 reference.
Right. Was that a 60s movie? 2000.
Yeah, 2001.
A Space Odyssey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2001: A Space Odyssey came out in the 60s. It's not an 80s thing. It's a combination of the HAL 9000 and Kit from Knight Rider. I guess the director just likes 2001. Because they even had like a similar dialogue exchange. He was asking the Hoff 9000 to do something, and David Hasselhoff's voice, "I'm afraid I can't do that."
You don't want to hassle the Hoff 9000. Oh, Hoff 9000. Another one was there was the sequence where Hitler travels to the future, and the time travel sequence that we see in the very beginning is straight out of the Terminator.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like you have the radio there, it's just laying there on the floor, and the sound starts to get all distorted, and then you start to see the blue electricity, and then presto, it's the Führer.
Yeah, it's so that guy who plays the fucking Kung Führer, Hitler, is having so much fun in this fucking movie.
Oh yeah, he's like playing like the most over-the-top, like spoiled brat who's just used to having everything his own way.
Oh yeah, it's the scene from Inglourious Bastards where Hitler goes 99999. It's like that on like crack. Like he's just like he's literally on stage saying, "I am the best kung fu master ever," and there's like a crowd of Nazis wearing gas masks that they don't need, and they're all clapping, and it's like you get the feeling that he's not even giving like a war speech. Like he just has like crowds of people around to clap at everything he says, like periodically.
Just one big stroke of his ego.
And then fucking Kung Fury and fucking all those Vikings and shit, they all show up, and they have this big fucking it's so insane. I don't know, it's just so fun.
And also remember the very brief animation sequence where Kung Fury briefly goes to this world's interpretation of heaven.
Oh yeah, that
where
was
everything
right.
It's like this one big homage to like Mask and Transformers and G.I. Joe, and like even his spirit animal, the Cobra, rides a hover scooter similar to the one seen in Flash Gordon.
Yeah, that was great. And he was a lot buffer in cartoon form than he was in real life, by the way.
Yeah.
He went from like fucking Liu Kang,
David Sandberg.
He went from like Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat, like that kind of built, to fucking the main guy from Street Fighter, whatever his name is.
Ryu.
Ryu, that's it. How did I forget Ryu? Like he looks a lot like Ryu in that scene in the movie. I don't know if that's what he was trying to go for, but it's like he went from that to that. And then, like you said, a fucking Cobra riding a hover scooter comes up, and I don't even remember what they say.
I have a feeling that maybe that Cobra is probably the most self-aware of any character in the whole movie.
Well, you notice that's a direct callback to his origin story from the beginning, from the beginning of the movie, because he received his kung fu powers by getting struck by lightning and bitten by a snake at the same time. Now, I don't know how that gives you kung fu powers, but apparently it does.
It was part of like some big prophecy.
Yes, a prophecy, of course.
So whoever came up with that prophecy, I don't know, was probably either really high or just ridiculously stupid, or a genius, or maybe any combination of the three.
But it turned out to actually be true. So they made like the luckiest guess in the history of the world. And thus was born Kung Fury. That whole origin sequence is so great because it's like the intro to a television series. Because afterwards he does like the karate kick and the Kung Fury logo pops up, and then
a short little montage using footage from the a large majority of the footage you see from the Kickstarter trailer.
And then you see like you're scrolling over pan shots of the city, and as you do it, like the character, like that shot, that fucking, I lost it when fucking Triceracop shows up. He's like standing there, like in this like montage thing while they're painting over the city, and it says Triceratops as Triceracop, and like, I don't know.
No, what was it that you said? Like you never knew how much the world needed Triceracop until you watched just Kung Fury.
Yeah, I had no idea how much I needed Triceracop. Now he is a part of my life that will never fade.
I guess you can say there's a little bit of Triceracop in all of us.
Oh yes, yeah.
Dun 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 dun. For anyone who got that Godzilla reference, good on ya.
Fucking yeah, and then you get like a shot of Triceracop fucking blowing up a city for some odd reason.
Oh yeah, by the way, have you noticed that Triceracop likes shooting Nazis in the dick?
Yeah, he shot everybody in the dick, and that was hilarious. But at the same time, I kept getting flashbacks to there's this episode of South Park where Butters keeps shooting these people in the dick on accident.
I thought the exact same thing.
Every time he does it,
you don't shoot people in the dick.
Every time he does it, Carmen's like, "You can't shoot people in the dick, Butters. That's not cool." Then at the end he's like, "Fuck this, Butters. I'm leaving. I'm not gonna save America from the Chinese if you keep shooting people in the dick."
And even like one Nazi, he tries to cover his groin, only to be shot in both arms, then the dick.
That was great.
And then in that one shot where Kung Fury does this like big over the top flip, only to kick Hitler in the balls, you see Triceracop in the background like going, "Yeah!"
Hit him in the dick.
That's the ticket! Also, I gotta love how they play that whole cliche, stereotypical two cops who are forced to be partners with one another, even though they're completely opposite in every single way.
One's a loose cannon kung fu master. The other is a British Triceratops.
Who goes by the book.
He's British. I love that. I love the fact that he has a fucking British accent. I came to save you, Kung Fury.
Oh boy! No, if only he was voiced by Patrick Stewart, man. Just imagine it.
That would be the best. Number one.
Hello, Kung Fury. I'm Triceracop. If you need some shooting in the dick, you know who to call. I'm sorry, that's a terrible Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart would do it too. He would totally. That guy's awesome. He does fucking.
Yeah, I mean,
he does work with fucking
Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah, he does fucking work with him all the time. He'd play Triceracop.
Yeah, he's done ridiculous shit before on like American Dad. And
he's got a mad sense of humor. He'd do it.
Yeah.
There should be like a campaign to do it. We should start a fucking petition. Fucking get Patrick Swayze for. I mean, not. Why did I say Swayze?
Well, he is an easy 80s icon, I guess.
But he's also dead. Get Patrick Stewart is what I meant to say. Get Patrick Stewart to play Triceracop in fucking Kung Fury 2. It'd be amazing.
They have to call the sequel Electric Boogaloo at this point. They have to.
Kung Fury 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Oh boy. Now, let's see.
The plot revolves around them trying to save a community center.
Yes, because it's being taken over by
the Kung
mutant. Oh yeah, by the Kung Fuhrer and his army of mutant bad boy surfers.
Yes. 1,000 times. Yes.
And Kung Fury and his partner Triceracop require the help of their ghetto partner from Detroit, Robocop.
Yes.
That's a little reference to a little character that Dylan Keir created.
I also want a fucking like moment when like Kung Fury like he needs to train in order to like beat the threat, and like so naturally we have an 80s sports training montage. But before that,
with Ralph Macchio.
But before that, yes, he can be his Miyagi.
Yes.
I'm down for this. I am down for this.
Oh my god, yes. Now, oh god, if they, I know, David Sandberg has talked about wanting to he still really wants to expand upon this short film and make a feature-length version of it. Hopefully, in order to ride off the success of this short film. And
Yeah, if he does,
I feel like,
I want him to spend more time in the fucking Viking Age. Like fucking with laser raptors and shit. Like, don't make it so easy to, like, maybe him and Barbariana have to go on a little journey to like find fucking Katana.
Thor.
To find Katana so that she can summon Thor, instead of all this fucking like, here's Katana, she can summon Thor, and then Katana's like, oh yeah, hey Thor, get over here. Why is Thor so easy to call? Like,
I don't know, maybe Katana's the only one whose voice is the only one that can summon Thor easily.
perhaps, I don't know. Just like Thor.
Just raises too many questions.
Thor just shows up out of nowhere. Check out my pecs. Like, I don't even think he came to help. I think he just came to show off his pecs. To be real.
Looked like it.
To be real, and then he shows up at the Nazi thing so that he can hit people with his pecs.
Oh, and speaking of things that don't make sense, I mean, I know that's the whole point of this here short, but there was something I really wanted to talk about, and that was the whole time travel aspect. And with the time travel thing, do you notice that at the very end of the movie, where it's revealed that the arcade machine was in fact a result of I guess the Nazis, and that Hitler came back and came to the future because of what Kung Fury did when he attempted to kill him in the past. So it's kind of like this really interesting time loop situation. Now the thing that does confuse me is
weird,
that
like paradoxical loops, kind of like the whole thing that happens in Terminator with Kyle Reese, or
like Kyle Reese comes to the past to protect Sarah Connor, only to give birth to John Connor, who then sent Kyle Reese to the past in the first place.
Or another favorite paradox of mine from fucking the Planet of the Apes franchise, where
Caesar,
where Cornelius and Zira come back in time because they are intelligent apes who can figure out how to come back in time, and then have a child who then becomes the establisher of the intelligent ape community and teaches all the other apes to be intelligent, and so the ape race sort of winds up creating itself in some sort of like weird thing. It's very complicated.
Right, and I'm all for that. I mean, it's a neat little twist that just wraps the whole short up. But the thing is, the scene where Hitler comes back in time, in the beginning of the movie, he doesn't have his giant robot eagle with him. And when that shot where you see the, I guess you can say, dead arcade robot, he doesn't have the Nazi symbol on him. So I'm wondering if this was intentionally made, if this continuity error was intentionally made, or does this suggest that the timeline was slightly different, but now it's somewhat different, just to show that no matter what, Hitler was always going to come to the present anyways.
I don't know. And here's the thing, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Here's the other thing, I think that's on purpose.
Possibly, yeah.
I think it's intended to be, I don't think there is a logical explanation for it. Like, literally, you cannot explain it. It's just one of like sometimes, in a classic 80s action movie, there'll be some sort of plot thing.
And it probably won't make any sense.
And the person who came up with that plot idea, at the moment that they said it, it sounded great. Like, oh, it'll turn out that fucking, I don't know, her dad was an alien or some shit. And then later on, when you really think about the movie, you start to think, wait a minute, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
If so, that is probably one of the best ideas that Sandberg made for the movie.
I mean, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I'm justifying.
We're just thinking way too hard into this.
We might be, yeah. And I don't want to justify something that doesn't make sense by saying that it's not supposed to make sense. But in this case, I think it's a definite possibility.
Right.
It's just this movie is such a weird thing to review, which we are trying to do.
Right. It's really hard to be critical, but I guess the best way to be critical of this movie is to judge whether or not this movie succeeds at being what it advertises to be, in that it is, this big, over-the-top, bombastic love letter to 80s action movies, and whether or not it succeeds at entertaining that very niche audience that this movie was catered to.
And in that instance, under that line of reasoning, then I would answer that question with a resounding yes. I thought that this movie did that perfectly well. This, it, God, it brings a smile to your face thinking about it. It really does. I don't know.
Oh, most definitely, man.
It's Yeah, I think it accomplishes what it set out to do. I think it very perfectly sort of captures that feel.
And it's very it's very gratifying to know. I'm not sure if gratifying is the right word, but it feels it's very it makes me happy basically to know that this Kickstarter project was able to see its way through and was able to use all the money that was funded to produce such an amazing product. Because let's be honest here, about 1 out of every 5 successfully funded Kickstarter projects usually never see the light of day. But to have this project, this very ambitious filmmaker, able to see this film to completion, and to have it, be a resounding success, is, just a miracle actually. And I'm very happy for the filmmaker. I'm very happy for everyone who was involved with the Kickstarter project, and overall, I just can't wait to see what may come out of the success of Kung Fury. I mean, in the past we've had several homages / parodies of certain genres, like, of course we had Black Dynamite, which was a parody of 70s blaxploitation films. We had Kung Pao Enter the Fist, a parody of badly localized kung fu films. We've had The History of the World Part 1, a big, parody of epics. We had Monty Python and the Holy Grail, a big parody of, those Middle Ages swords and sorcery type of films. And I think, Kung Fury really does stand among those great genre parodies. And, I really like to see more out of this. I want this to expand to a franchise. I want to see, a theatrically feature-length version. I want to see a sequel with all those ideas we just mentioned. I want to see an animated series like Black Dynamite. I want it all.
I want a Kung Fury action figure in the hand of every child.
I want my Triceracop cereal, breakfast cereal.
Oh yeah, and like a Triceracop mask that you wear on for Halloween. That'd be fucking epic.
Yes. Oh, dude. I want people to cosplay as Triceracop now. Dude, you need to try to cosplay. I don't know. Somehow cosplay as Triceracop to G-Fest.
I don't know if that would be possible.
Well, no, just get a police uniform, some reptile gloves, and a cheap plastic Triceratops mask.
I don't know if that would be doable under this time frame, but
just ask Jacob Baker to make you the mask at least and the gloves.
Triceracop, the best idea since Dinosaur Day.
So yeah, that I think
I hear what you were saying about how nice it is to see this guy like be able to realize this vision. It's just nice to see from the standpoint of like independent entertainment, like that it can work. That it can be a thing that people like it, that it can blossom and bring us these wonders. Like this movie. It's so obviously not put together by like some like group of people, like a studio or something, who want to try and like cash in on the whole like 80s thing. Like that's what the Expendables is, and the Expendables does that well in some cases. Especially the second Expendables movie was fucking amazing. I was very disappointed with the third.
But I guess like the problem with the Expendables, it feels too Hollywood. It feels too controlled by the studio system, to where it doesn't really feel, well, personally me, it doesn't feel so much as an 80s throwback, but more of just a modern day action movie. With actors from the 80s.
That's definitely the case, and that's why this is so different, because it's not done by some, focus group somewhere saying, well, according to the chart.
It needs to be dark and gray. It needs to be like dark, drab, and characters need to have no life, no personality, or everything needs to be fucking shaky cam all the time.
This guy, this Andy, what's his name? Andy
Samberg.
This Andy Samberg,
who worked a lot in who worked a lot in commercial and he worked a lot in post production for television commercials and music videos.
It's very hard for me to say his name because there was a guy who used to be on Saturday Night Live named Andy Samberg.
Andy Samberg, yeah.
Very similar name. Anyway, this guy is like, he's like one of us, you know. He's like some schmuck, you know, who's like, I'm gonna make an '80s action movie, and he went out there and he fucking did it, and it's beautiful. I mean, this movie is like the kind of idea that like we would come up with, like in an episode of SOS. Like,
right. True, yeah.
It's like
it's a lot like
tailor-made.
Tusk, except unlike I guess I would say this is a lot more entertaining than Tusk. This is like a less fucked up conversation than Tusk.
It's just I don't know how to put it into words. It's an odd thing.
It's Kung Fury.
It's Kung Fury. I don't know if we can say it any better or worse than that.
Right. So I guess, do you have anything left to say before we give our farewells? Because there's no point in rating this film.
Oh, I was about to say, we're not going to try to score this thing, are we?
No.
It's hard enough to try and come up with things to say about it.
I'll say it's 5 shots in the groin by Triceratops out of 5.
I would agree with your recommendation. It's
5 arcade robot middle fingers out of 5.
It's 5 laser raptors. It's 5 talking T-Rexes. 5 Kung Furies. 5 whatever you want.
5 Thor pecs out of 5.
Oh, I gotta mention my other favorite moment in the movie because I forgot about it till just now.
Uh-huh.
When he fucking comes back to life from going to the cartoon heaven, and the hacker dude's like, "I hacked away all your bullets. I hacked away all of your bullet wounds."
Of course, because the hacker in all movies can do anything.
And Kung Fury's just like, "Oh, thanks," and then goes back into the fight. So yeah, 5 hacked bullet wounds out of 5.
Oh, I do want to say, for the El Rey television premiere, there were no subtitles when the 2 German Nazis were talking to each other, smack-talking each other about each other's mustaches.
Yeah.
That was weird.
No subtitles. There are subtitles.
But they're on the YouTube version.
Yeah, they're on the YouTube version. That was, I don't know
That's
why.
the one legit complaint I have.
I don't know why. That's not even a complaint with the movie. It's a complaint with the fucking El Rey network.
Yeah, that was weird. But anyways, that was our review. That was our thoughts on that was our spoilerific analysis of the masterpiece that is Kung Fury. Thank you so much, Dylan, for joining me once again in this collaboration.
I mean, how could I resist? Andres messages me and he's like, "Hey, you want to review Kung Fury?" And I'm like, "Do I want to review Kung Fury?" Yeah.
Let's see. Let me just check my time. Yes.
Yes.
So hopefully you guys have enjoyed our review that turned out to be longer than the film itself. Who knows? Maybe you can just put this next to the film as a commentary. Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyways,
I hope you
thank you
enjoyed
for
us just sitting here gushing over a movie.
Right.
And having a very difficult time articulating it, but trying to just express our love for it in an audio medium. However successfully we may have done that is up to you.
It could have been worse. We could have just been going, "Oh my god," for like the next 40 minutes.
I mean, I kind of feel like that's what's happened, but
I feel like we were. I'm positive that we were a little bit more articulated than that.
we were a bit,
outside of me stammering as usual.
we were a bit more intellectual. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Kung Fury. Yes. Let's analyze this piece of modern art.
So anyways, that was our review. As I stated once again, I have been your host, Andres Perez, aka KaijuNoir.
And I've been Superdm64, and probably still will be tomorrow. I don't know why I said I have been. It's weird.
And until next time, everybody, take care.
Pecs are epic.
Thanks, bro.